In terms of my professional experience, I have 25 years of experience in the IT industry, after which I went on to head the Jobs for Her Foundation. And now I am Director Relationships at an educational institution called as National Education Society, where I help build the industry academia connect. In addition to that, I take up a lot of freelance training, assignments, and workshops and other projects. So today is a very interesting topic in an interesting group on Jobs for Her called as work-life balance. And let's start looking at the work-life balance issues and questions that people have posted. Okay, so the first question that I'm seeing is Meadows. It says, I started recently doing freelancing full time. By doing this, I'm planning to go back to my hometown as I can work remotely. I love the work that I do, but I'm not sure that my parents will understand and might pressurize me to get a more secure job. How do you think I should make them understand so that I get better at what I do by not pursuing another job as well as get the support to continue doing this? So I would like to tell Meadow, or rather ask Meadow first, whether she's done enough research to find out whether this is what she really wants to do on a longer term. While freelancing is great and we are moving more and more into the freelancing culture, what is being called the gig economy or platform economy, one has to be really very sure that the kind of jobs, the kind of opportunities that you're looking for, they are there in plenty. Otherwise, what could happen is that, you do one project and after that there is a lag before you get on to the next project. Or the other way to do it is, you kind of rope in 2 or 3 customers so that you're always, full with projects, or you take on, 2 or 3 at the same time. So, even if one ends, the other one is there. But what it clearly means that you should be able to prioritize extremely well, because I know being a freelancer now, as well as having a day job, trying to manage multiple priorities and things at home, especially when you don't have support, is extremely hard, and you could really either not do quality work, or you may actually burn your fingers on both sides. Now, assuming that Meadow has done all of that and she's very clear that this is how, she wants her career to grow, then the same thing is something that she needs to explain to the ecosystem that, matters the most to her. So it could be her parents, it could be her friends or whoever, and she needs to kind of show them the research that is available and the data that is available in our country as well as globally, to say that okay, this is also a good way of working. So if I were to look at 20 years ago, somebody who was running a business would have been really looked at with a lot of doubts, because one doesn't know how well the business will run, whether you'll have enough customers, whether you'll make enough money or not. But if you look today if someone says I'm an entrepreneur, I have a startup of my own, or people think it's cool, because that's how things have changed. So similarly, Meadow, you will have to explain to whoever is asking you those questions, and you want them to be convinced that this is how the career progression, even with a freelance opportunity, is. And I'm sure they will, once you understand, you can appreciate, and that's where the gap is. Now look at the next question, which is Vijayashree. She is asking, I'm the first generation working woman in my family. It's hard for my family members, the parents and the in-laws, to accept that my work is as important as any working male family member, and maybe I'm even better than most. Yet I'm supposed to leave work outside my doorsteps, though the men can let invade even the bedroom. People say I must be thankful that I have a support system. A support system doesn't necessarily stop with childcare, home security, etc. It is the emotional support. I can't talk work. I can't celebrate an achievement. I can't boast of a hike. My love for my work stays with me. If your family cannot share more than your paycheck, who else? Now, it is a difficult situation to be in, and I would definitely, ask Vijayashree whether she's had those conversations. And these conversations have to be done in a manner that it is, congenial, and the people understand that you really want them also to be part of it. Influencing outcomes is an art and a science, right? Having conversations, difficult conversations, also has there's a strategy in terms of how you go about doing it. When do you have those conversations? And in terms of telling them how it is important not only to you, but how it will become important to the rest of the family, and how much you will be benefited if the family also comes forward and supports you. And exactly how you said, support is not in terms of actual work, but support is in terms of encouragement. Maybe you've got to tell them how the rest of the world is progressing. You have to, because you're saying the first generation working women, so since they've not seen anybody else, and maybe they're not aware of the external environment in terms of how the rest of the women are going around working, achieving, and getting awards, and how the rest of their families are supporting. Maybe this is an education process that you need to do. Most of the times, it's communication that will ensure that all goes fine, and we don't communicate. And we really need to communicate to each and every person around us, in our homes and in the external environment, who could possibly support us. Now, having said all of this, if you have tried everything and still not worked, and if you're going to try and it still doesn't work for you, this is all I can say. Support can be defined as two things. One is the actual support when somebody helps you out in the kitchen, or somebody picks up your kids when you have an important meeting and you can't go to the school. Support is also defined as someone who doesn't stop you from doing something. So okay, they don't do anything for you, but they have not stopped you from working, right? That itself is a big thing, which means that you have the freedom to go and do what you have to do, and you are able to do things well, and you're able to get your pay rises, you're able to get your bonuses, you're able to get your promotions. While it's really good if people around you encourage you and appreciate you, but at the end of the day, if you are satisfied for the work that you have done, and you're happy with your paycheck, and you're happy with your achievements, I think you should move on, and kind of keep at it. Maybe one fine day they will also realize and come around. The next question that I'm seeing is from Akshata Nayak, and there are two questions, and I think both are related. So let me read both of them together. She says, "Hi Neeraja, how to create a support system and balance when you work from home? People around you tend to feel you're always available, unlike office work, which is considered to be more serious and professional work." And the next question is, how does one draw a line between personal and professional life when you work from home? Most of the times we end up working more, and the actual intent with which you took up work from home, that is to be with your family or have flexibility, is lost. How to strike that balance? So first of all, Akshata, whoever decides to work from home has to be very clear as to why they want to work from home, right? This definition of I can be there for my family, I can have some flexibility, is not the right reasons for working from home. You could be working from home because if you were to commute to the office, you're going to end up large amounts of time just commuting, and a lot of productivity is lost. That could be a reason for you to work from home, or there could be other reasons. And the reason I'm saying this is, when you're working from home, you're still working, which means that you have to have a schedule for yourself. You have to have some boundaries. You have to have an office space in your house. You can't be sitting wherever, whenever, and start working. So it has to be a dedicated space where you can keep your laptop, you can have a good internet connection, lighting, and it is secure. People don't barge in and don't make noise, and things like that, so that you are able to focus, and the rest also realize that this is office time, and not to be disturbed. So you have to speak to folks at home to say that between 9 and 1, if it is 4 hours every day, then between 9 and 1, I'm going to be working, which means that please do not disturb me. So you have to make up your mind. What are those hours for you? Maybe it's 9 to 1, maybe it is 12 to 4, but whatever it is. But those 3 to 4 hours or 8 hours, how many hours you've decided to work from home, have to be work. You cannot be doing personal stuff around during that time. Because the minute you start doing personal stuff around that time, one, your family realizes that, oh, I can call you whenever, it doesn't matter. Two, your productivity is also going to be dipping because your focus on the current thing will move away, and you're, doing something in the kitchen, or, tending to somebody else and all of that. So when you come back to what you were working, you will have to once again spend about 5 to 10 minutes to bring your focus back to that activity. So while multitasking is good, there are also a lot of drawbacks of it, and especially in this where you're going to take your brain away from your work to whatever home requirements are there, and trying to bring it back to the office work, it's going to be very, very hard. The third reason why you should not be doing this is whoever has given you the work from home assignment, most probably the employer, could be calling you at 10 o'clock, assuming that you are working from home. And if you are not available to answer the call, or if you're doing something else, then your responses to that person will also not be very professional. It will not appear as if you are committed, and then the employer also starts doubting your ability to deliver work. And it is not only bad for you, it's bad for the rest of the women, because now he will start thinking that, hey, I've given her the flexibility to work from home, but still she is doing all sorts of other things during the time when actually she should be delivering work. So my always I've said, when people or women decide to work from home, they better have a very good reason, and that reason cannot be that I want to take care of both the responsibilities at the same time, which is very, very wrong. I remember that when I used to work from home, at 3 o'clock I would get called to make chai. Now I used to tell them, if instead of being at home today I had been at the office, you would have managed, right? You would have made chai yourself, or you wouldn't have looked for Neeraja to make chai. So you have to have those conversations. First, convince yourselves that the only reason you're working from home is for you to have better productivity, not waste your time on commute or some other things. But beyond that, there is still a need to have an office space at home, timings for yourself, a very good infrastructure that will enable you to work well, and people at home know that you cannot be disturbed. Let me see if there are any other questions. Okay, I'm seeing no questions. There is Hamida who said, how does the support system at home and work for a stable work-life balance apply to the girls who are not married? Well, I am not understanding this question. How does support system at home and work for a stable work-life balance apply to girls who are not married? I really don't think, that there is an issue whether you're married or not married. Work-life balance and, work-life integration is same regardless of whether you're married, you have kids, or you don't have kids, you're a single parent, or, you live alone. It just doesn't matter. Your marital status doesn't really make any difference to the way you work and the way you integrate work and life. What exactly can act as a support system in a person's life apart from their people or friends? Now, that's a great question. So what I say is, when you talk about work-life integration, let's not even talk about work-life balance, because balance itself means that you should have equal amounts of both. People assume that, if you have 8 hours of work, then you get 8 hours of, family time and another 8 hours of sleep, which is very, very hard, in real life. But what can really happen is, when you integrate the two, then you will realize that you are able to, also do your work well. You also are able to find the time when required for your family, and also the me time, which is most important. Most of the times women forget that they have to become a little selfish and look at things that will benefit them. When I'm saying them, in terms of their health, in terms of their recreation, entertainment, etc. So I always say that you got to prioritize, and in the priority list you must have both your work elements, your home elements, your me time elements, and anything else beyond that that you need should be there in your top 5 priorities. And then you should schedule all these activities. So if you have a calendar, which you should keep a calendar for a day, and you should keep a calendar for a week, and you schedule and put in time for each of these elements in that calendar, to say that, okay, fine, today I'm going to, and you may not be able to do everything every day, right? Me time is something that you should look at every day. It could be as small as 15 minutes of a book that you read, or it could be a half an hour of exercise regime, or it could be in addition to every day of 15 to 30 minutes, once a week you go out and meet your friends or whatever else. But that me time also has to be scheduled in your calendar to say, okay, I'm taking care of myself. And why is that so very important? Everyone who has made it big, especially women who have made it big, if you ask them, they will tell you that most of the activities that you do, whether at work or home, are actually taking away the energy from you. Correct? So it is only this me time and the activities that you do which you enjoy doing is what is going to energize you. So to keep you going for the day, for the week, for the month, and for your life, you need to be able to energize yourself every now and then and every day. And hence it is important, even in a very crowded day, to ensure you take that little bit out for yourself and do what you love. So I think that's probably one of the additional support systems that a person should have, in addition to whatever else we probably are going to look at. The next question is, what practices should I follow to achieve the basics of work-life balance? Okay, so the first one I say is prioritize. You have to know what are your top priorities. And when I say top priorities, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not more than that. You can have 30 different things that you want to achieve in your life, but what is the top 5? And again, when I say top 5, there should be only one thing at every priority level. You can't have two things, at priority 1, and then again you're going to figure out how to balance the two. So do this retrospection to understand what are your top 3 to 5 priorities, nothing more than that, and put one at each. Once you have done that, your decision making becomes much easier, because if you are say at priority 1, you really want to kind of ensure that your boss gives you those additional challenging assignments in the next 6 months. That's what your priority 1 is. And your priority 3 is probably keeping your house extremely clean. And in the morning, you are toying with the idea of, I have half an hour available. I can, create this wonderful presentation and, give it to my boss, versus I should go and dust and, sweep and mop the house. It becomes much easier for you to decide what you should do, because at priority 1 is, your career. You are looking at the next 6 months where you could possibly get a promotion. So you'll say, okay, let the house remain as is. I'll find somebody else to take care of it, or I'll find another time slot in the day when I can clean it. But let me spend this half an hour in the morning to actually do this presentation, which can then get me my promotion. So prioritization, which kind of enables decision making. The second thing that I say is schedule, which we already spoke about. Ensure that everything that you want to achieve in a day and a week, your schedule, your calendar should be, having all elements of your work, your personal life, your me time put into your calendar for the entire week. That way you don't forget something, and when you look at a new piece of work that has popped in for you, either from your office or from your home, you will know where to put it in. You will know whether it's a priority. If it is priority, you have to kind of schedule it in the calendar, and then you can see, okay, fine, there might be something which is not of high priority, so you can move it out and put this in. But if you're not finding any spot for this, and you don't find this additional piece of work that's come your way to be high priority, you can ignore it, or you can postpone it to the next week. So scheduling it is extremely important. Third, we already spoke about having me time. Please ensure that you find what your passion is, what your calling is, what energizes you, and take care of that me throughout your life. The fourth thing that I would say is get rid of the guilt, because most of us are always ever guilty about not having done something. So in the previous example, when I'm saying your priority told you you'd spend the half an hour on your presentation and keep that table dusty, you will probably die of guilt every day, thinking that, oh my god, I didn't even clean that table. Or people around you will make you guilty, saying that, what, you're going about doing things for your office, but what about the house? Look at it, how dusty the table is. Let go. I always remember Apurva Purohit's quote. She says, you better be good at a few things rather than be mediocre in everything. So that priority list will tell you what you want to be good at. And the rest of the things you can delegate or you can forget about them. Otherwise, if you're going to take on everything and be mediocre in everything, you're going to be not achieving anything in life. So letting go of the guilt is extremely important. And the fifth thing that I say is seek support. You cannot be a superwoman, so it is perfectly fine to seek support. So for example, right today, my maid has not come, my cook is not there. Okay, and I had plenty of meetings despite it being actually a holiday. Because of my freelance assignments, I had so many meetings scheduled from 9 in the morning and going on till 8 in the night. So I have to cook because the cook has not come. But I decided it's okay if I know I don't take care of whatever the maid would have come and done, because my entire day is choco blocked. Correct. So or even from a cooking perspective, I said, okay, fine, I will make the curry, but I have asked my mother to help me out with the rasam. So seek support, and it's perfectly fine. Seek support from your friends, from your family. It doesn't matter what they think about you, because you're seeking support, and at some point in time you will give back also. If you've asked your friend to help you out with something, as an example, you want to kind of go and watch a movie with your husband in the evening, and you have a young child who has to be taken care of. You could possibly drop off the child at your friend's place and return that favor the next day or the next week by telling your friend that you will take care of maybe their child or dog or pet, or anybody else, or any other help that they want, and they can go and enjoy an evening. And finally, do this exercise again and again and again, which means that this routine of prioritizing every month, look at it whether this is working for you. Every now and then, look at your current priorities, because priorities are not always going to be the same. They will keep changing. So every now and then, look at your priority list and see if certain things have to be moved out, certain things have to be brought in, and because of that, what elements have to change in your schedule, and keep at it. So I think if one follows all of this, you should not get a work-life balance, but have a more integrated work life. Let me see if there are any more questions. Okay. Kartiki, how to deal with the guilt of my child being more comfortable with my support system than me? Wonderful question. So, when my child was born, I had decided that I'm going to leave my job. But people at home told me, don't leave the job because you will regret it one day. If you're able to take time off, take leave. So I had my 3 months of maternity leave. I had, accumulated some other leaves for 6 months. And after that, I went on loss of pay. The company was kind of, good enough to give me that extended leave. So I was always with my child, right? Always. And by the time she was 10 months, people at home told me, can you please get out of the house? Because I was becoming very paranoid. I used to just keep sitting with my daughter and not allow anyone else to come near, saying that, what, I have taken off, so let me be around her and I'll do everything for her. So it wasn't really helping anyone. So they told me, you must go out of the house and do a few things. So I decided if I have to anyway go out of the house, I might as well go back to work. So it was 10 months. My daughter was 10 months at that point in time. My husband used to work from home, and he continues to work from home, and that's been one of my greatest support system. And my in-laws were there at home, and my parents also live in the same city. So taking care of the child was never a problem. But what happened was, I saw that my daughter suddenly started clinging to my husband more than me, because I think what she realized was that mama's gone away suddenly. So she doesn't want to see papa also going away suddenly, right? So she started clinging to him. And for the next few years, the father was the first call. Whether it was food, whether it was anything, my daughter always went to my father. Well, it will hurt you. It will definitely hurt you, because in the evenings when you're coming back and you want to be with the child, sometimes the child will say, no, 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 I'm going with papa. But in the longer run, things will set right, because the child also grows. The child will also understand, and you are also going to do the stuff that you want to do for your child when you come back from work and and then the child understands that mother does certain things and the father does certain things, and there are other people, the grandparents will do certain things, and the maid will do something, and the cook will do something. So over a long period of time, the understanding will set in. And don't it's not guilt, I think it's the insecurity more than the guilt. So don't be insecure. You are a mother and you are going to be doing everything that is required for the child, and the child will over a period of time understand why certain things, while it's being done by mothers for other children, are probably done by your support system for this child. It's perfectly fine. What are the ways? So I'll just I'm conscious of time, so I will probably take the questions for the next 4 minutes. Pallavi asks, what are the ways to concentrate on my child's education when I have late hours at work? Great question. Looks like I've gone through all of this in my life, and that's what probably I'm assuming these are young mothers who are asking these questions. So when I was much younger and my child was much younger, I remember being on a panel discussion on a particular Women's Day in my office, and all these senior women leaders had come. And I asked them this question. I asked one of the ladies, you know what, we all aspire for certain marks in when the child goes for an exam in school or a test in school. And if the child has not scored what we would have liked the child to score, if the child has scored lesser than that, don't you feel guilty that it's probably because you were not at home to help the child out? And this lady said, what is the guarantee that the child would have got more marks if I was at home? Maybe the child would have got lesser marks if I was at home, right? So the point here is, we assume that if we are around, things are just going to work out fine. Please get rid of that assumption, okay? Things will just go fine even when you are not around. But yes, you have to ensure that you find the right people and the right support system to take care of things. So in this case, if it is child's education and you feel that the child needs you, first of all, that might be an assumption for all you know, right? But if you really feel that the child needs you because there are certain questions, certain doubts, certain areas where the child needs additional help, but you are not able to provide that, see if your husband can help out. See if somebody else in the family can help out. If not, find a tutor, right? It's perfectly fine. At the end of the day, the outcome is what is most important. If the child is able to get the required outcome of the marks or whatever else you have in mind with whoever is able to help, it's perfectly fine. Each one deals with things differently. And again, going back to what Apurva Purohit says, be great at a few things. Don't be mediocre at everything. So first, take the guilt away. If you really think the child needs help, then find help in terms of support. Could be internal inside the house, or it could be someone from outside. And if the required outcome is achieved, feel good about it. Don't worry. I think we are done with all the questions. So at this point in time, I will only wish everyone the very best in what? In prioritizing. Do that as an activity as soon as you get back, out after you have watched this video. It sounds very simple, and if I were to ask everyone, will say, of course I know my priorities, but I don't think most of us know our priorities. It needs some amount of retrospection to sit and put it down, and the fact that you have to put it down in the order of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then which are the top 5. And there is a tip even to get to the top 5, right? And this is what I say. Supposing you could do only one thing for the next 6 months. You can't do, more than one. You can do only one thing for the next 6 months. What would be that one thing? That will determine your priority one. Then if you are allowed a second thing, along with what you decided for your priority one, what is that second? And like that, do it for 3, 4, 5. 3 to 5 is ideal. Don't go beyond 5. Once you have set that priority list, the rest of the tips that I have given, if you start following that, you will be able to over a period of time achieve. And I know people will say, okay, fine, the scheduling business is going to take time. As such, we are so busy in that you're asking us to schedule and put in, a calendar and all of that. Trust me, if you do it, and people say scientifically, it's said that, if you do something for 21 days, it becomes a habit. Over a period of time, it will just become a habit, to kind of maintain a schedule, put in, the amount, some buffer time in between, so that if some emergencies come in, you can put it in the buffer. So good luck with this, and I hope it was very useful today.